In a world desperate to tear itself apart, only one man, and some other people, stand in the way of total destruction. Together they will right the wrongs, make bad, good, and single-handedly destroy evil, together. Who is this man, you may ask? This man is Jeff.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Jeff Jones and Friends Make It Better. The show that takes life's little annoyances, shoves them into a phone booth, travels through time, scooping up various historical figures, and quite simply makes it better. Today I'm delighted to welcome Contagion Media's KBR. KBR, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am not too bad at all. The moon is shining and the bats are singing over here in the UK, middle of the night almost. How's it over there in Phoenix?
It's going good. It's starting to warm up a little bit. The sun's out. It was raining a lot this morning, though.
Yeah, it needs a little bit to help the flowers grow, don't we? Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. But without further ado, what is it that we're going to make better today?
So today we're going to make artists better and more important in the world.
And more important, get the recognition they deserve. Yeah, so what is it that most annoys you about the current situation?
I think that something that I didn't really know before I was an artist, and I've learned throughout the years becoming an artist that really annoys me, is how people forget that artists are also people, and that we're not invincible and we can't just make art 24/7 every single day.
That's it. There is a process to it. I totally understand what you mean. And we spoke briefly earlier, and it's all types of art, isn't it? You don't expect a songwriter to just come up, turn around, knock up a song in 20 minutes and come back to you. And I suppose being a photographer, people just assume that it's kind of, oh, okay, that looks all right. I'm going to point and shoot.
Definitely, it's pretty crazy. For all kinds of art, I think. I didn't really know this before just because I was a fan and not an artist, but all the time people just kind of say little small microaggressions towards artists that they don't really realize. Just like whenever maybe like a musician comes out with a new album, and maybe like their fans don't vibe with it as much, and they're like, man, I wish this artist did music like how they used to do. But it's like, what if they've grown, What if they've grown? It makes no sense.
Yeah, because and that is, and as I suppose a consumer, I know you're totally right, because Taylor Swift, for example, and you know what, I've gone straight into the deep end here because I like her as an artist, I suppose, but I don't actually listen to much of her song, so I've gone quite into it. But okay, Arctic Monkeys, British band. Are you aware of Arctic Monkeys?
Who is it?
The Arctic Monkeys.
Oh yeah, I know them. Yeah,
good on the dance floor, and so back in the day, in my younger days, bring out an album, and it's one of the greatest albums of all time, and it's high tempo, and I don't know, I kind of want to say kind of a little bit kind of dirty and grimy and raw, I suppose. And then I don't know, 10, 12, maybe more years later, they bring out another album, and it's completely different, and a lot of people slated it because it wasn't just what they were doing 10, 12 years ago. And in that last 10, 12 years, they've been through stuff. Like they've grown as people, grown as artists, things have changed. And I think there's not maybe a lack of emotional intelligence from the consumers, by the fans, to just expect the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know. I think what it is that people kind of like they think that the art is the person, if that makes sense. Like the actual art is the person versus it being like a product that someone is creating. So they kind of forget, oh my gosh, there's a human being with a soul that's actually creating this. It's not just like a machine pumping it out to them.
Yeah, I get that. I like that. Yeah, the fact that it's the product that they're putting out, because they haven't been through 1,000 heartbreaks, or they're not recounting the same heartbreak. And also, and this is something I picked up the other day, I was listening to a song on the radio, and it was a song about, I think it's quite an old song, but there's a song about this person not caring about the song anymore. I started thinking, well, you've written a song and you've made a whole song about not thinking about this person anymore. So maybe you do think about the person. And then I thought, no, Jeff, because it's probably just a make-believe story. So I was sucked into this, forgetting that it's a brand or a product that they've put out, and they're a brand. It's just to be consumed and enjoyed rather than dissected. So across all medias, I suppose the same kind of go for actors, painters, photographers, podcasters. Hopefully, this includes me in that because this is art. I think. But what
Yeah, I think so.
is that your the kind of the main your main bugbear is people just almost missing the point with artists?
Yeah, I just think that I don't know, like it's kind of more like the world demanding so much out of us. Like for example, like Beyonce, right? Like everybody loves Beyonce. I've been listening to like her new album. It's really good. And like I know she didn't announce her tour until like last week, but she launched her new album like I think September last year or July or something. And so she didn't announce the tour when it came out, and everyone was like, when is Beyonce gonna tour? When is she gonna tour? And a lot of people on Twitter were just like acting entitled, like, how dare she release an album and not release a tour? And I'm just like, isn't the music enough? Isn't the music enough? Like she's giving us the music. They don't like artists don't have to make art. So like why are people sometimes trying to like determine what they make? Which it's like it makes no sense because it's like their art is themselves. Like you can't
Yeah,
force it.
yeah. And what's not to say that I don't know, she was putting finishing touches to the perfect tour, or she have plans in her personal life, which meant, well, do you know what? We'll do the tour a bit later and we'll announce it a bit later. Like, it doesn't have to be on the fans' time schedule. How do you feel about so I know whether it's film stars, sports stars, or anything, a person or an entity that's got a fan base, and yes, and I see a lot of things online where a fan has met, I know, a Beyonce or someone, and they've seen him in a hotel, and they've gone up for an autograph or a picture, and they've kind of, I don't know, been shooed away or whatever, and obviously that person's then hurt, offended, and everyone kind of has their opinion that, well, we pay their wages and their lifestyle so they owe it. Like, do you think there's that? Does
Um,
the artist owe the fans anything?
um, I really think no. Like, I think it's great that they share with their fans, but at the end of the day, like, they make their art for them to share. So it's like they're already sharing their soul with you by putting out this art. So it's like, why is it so necessary for you to like have a selfie with them or whatever? It's also very awkward. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, they have no idea who you are, and all these people that they've never met are acting like they know everything about them.
Yeah,
Like it's very
yeah,
weird.
100%. And not enough people have watched The Bodyguard of Whitney Houston because then you realise I think it's like that's an obscure reference, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think because I think when people are performing and they're playing up to them, take all the photos you want. But when someone is going through a hotel or getting dinner or something, okay, be excited, and I know if you can sneak a picture, try. Then okay, as long as you're not interrupting them, but they don't owe people anything because people who say, well, I buy the music, without us, there'd be nothing. That's fine. But when you buy the music, you're spending money on the music. So that's the transaction. You're not then
Exactly.
owed a piece of their life. I mean, these days, celebrities have got social media and Instagram. So you actually see a lot more of their life anyway than you would have done 10, 20 years ago. So be
Hmm.
happy with that. People don't have to go nuts all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. And I can't even imagine like I always talk to my husband all the time because like I do art and everything, but and like kind of a lot of people know me in the local scene, but I'm very much like not comfortable with the fame. Like I just don't like it. And I feel like that's probably the main thing that's holding me back from becoming a lot bigger. Um but also it's like you see these huge celebrities with like 200 million followers or like 300 million followers, and like even if they wear the wrong thing, everybody's like, oh my god, they're so fat, oh my god, they cut their hair, it looks bad. Like seriously, it's like being under a microscope. It's so
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, I really enjoy what I do. So I've done I enjoy creating. So kind of stand up comedy, the podcast, writing, I mean, I'll try my hand at it. I enjoy the creative process, have terrible kind of imposter syndrome and everything else. So it really doesn't match up well with what I do. But there's two reasons why I know I could never allow myself to get famous. The first one is I would not be able to stay away from social media comments. Like I wouldn't be able to post something and then just ignore it. Like celebrities
Yeah.
who do that, I think have. Because I'd be sat there for hours just replying to people positively, but also very much negatively. And the other reason I couldn't allow myself to come too fast is I've got far too many skeletons in my closet, and so I'd be cancelled within a week. As soon as I hit it big, I'm done for. But I mean, it is tricky though because it's as well. I suppose they say you're kind of well known, which is good because your brand is working to a certain extent, and if you can make a living from it, even better. If other people are enjoying something that you put out, even better still. Yeah, I mean, I suppose where does it end? Do you worry about what other people think about your art?
I think that it's like a weird thing because like I do care, but I also don't care. Like part of me wants to do the art just because I want to do it, but I'm definitely not gonna lie and say that I don't love it when people are like, "Oh my gosh, your photo shoot that you released," or "Oh my gosh, your new song," or whatever. It definitely makes me feel good just because like the validation, like I know it's good, but to hear someone else say it really just makes me be like, oh my gosh, the years and years I put into this actually paid off.
That's it. Yeah, all the time, money, effort, practice over and over again. That is good because I think all humans I know a lot of people say, well, it doesn't matter, I do it for me. But there is that little bit that thinks, do you know what, I've made something that other people are enjoying. I don't know, there can't be much better than that. Actually creating something, whether it's a book, a song, or artwork, or whatever it is, something that people have said, you know what, standard ovation, that was excellent. Whilst I suppose if no one ever sees what you do, but you're happy with it, then you've got to hold that just as close, maybe, as the other.
I don't know. I feel like for me, it's like kind of a weird thing because in one way, like I don't want the world to like judge me. I don't honestly, I don't even care if they judge my art. They judge my art, that's fine. But it's whenever people like judge the person separate from the art.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I don't like. But ultimately, I think that I would not enjoy my art as much if I didn't share it with people. Just because I think that the beauty of art is basically sharing it with the world and connecting with others and like building compassion and all of that.
Yeah. And do you get nervous when you share something new with people?
So I definitely did at the beginning, but now I don't at all.
Yeah, you just throw it out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more about finding the time to just like actually share it. Like I just have so much stuff I produce all the time and like probably only 10% of it sees social media.
That's fair. I can go times where, or kind of a couple of weeks or a few weeks where I've not posted a recording, and it'll be one that I'm really happy with. So I'm doing this podcast, and I've generally got one like we kind of record tonight. I've got one that was released this week, but I've also got another one in editing to do. So this will kind of come out in roughly 2 weeks.
Nice.
But I get so nervous about it that I kind of almost hold off a little bit until it's like, no, yeah, I've really got to psych myself up to do it because it's putting something out there, which first of all, I hope that the guest is happy with. But also, I want people to listen and think, you know, that was good. But if they turn around and say, oh, that was rubbish, then I know, maybe I'm sensitive. I was too sensitive. I'm a delicate flower.
Yeah, a lot of artists are delicate flowers. That's what I've noticed because so I run Contagion Media, our agency, and so I actually help artists of all mediums kind of just like become professional artists and kind of work through all these things. And so that's definitely the biggest struggle I see artists probably have is that they're sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe that's the kind of, I suppose, is that the creative side of the brain that does that, because it's a lot of art is kind of wrapped up in emotion and things, and maybe that's who we are and our temperament. But all I need is to record this and then give it to someone and never see it ever again, and they go and put it out,
awesome.
do it for me, because I hate hearing my own voice is another thing. I could never doing this is terrible, but I've never watched never watched one of my stand-up sets or gigs because I just hate the sound of my own voice. And I was saying to someone on a previous podcast, I always think that my voice sounds like this. And I said, well, if you have to do an impression of it, then it's not your real voice, is it? Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's funny. I saw that on Twitter. I totally feel that, like, because I've been singing. Oh my gosh, I'm 26 now. I've been singing since I was like probably like 4, but like making music since I was 12, and I literally I still don't really know what I sound like, but it wasn't until like 2 years ago that I kind of knew what I sound like. So it's weird.
Well, so actually kind of the artistic finding your sound, but actually what you sound like.
Yeah, not even like finding my sound, because I've probably had my sound for like 4 or 5 years now, but like actually hearing what I sound like I think my voice sounds gross, but then like if I sing it on a microphone and I hear it like over there, I'm like, dang, who is that?
I love it. God, they're really good. Who is it? It's you. Oh, okay. Oh, it's terrible. So how would you describe your sound then? You found the sound. How would you describe it?
I would consider my voice to be, it's like very like soulful, a little bit rocky, I guess, and then like kind of bluesy, and then a little bit experimental.
Oh wow, that's covering a few bases.
Yeah,
that's got. I suppose there are genres which do cross over. Would you dare compare yourself to anyone, past or present? That's the kind of sound.
So I don't sound like her, but I can sing all of her music. Amy Winehouse.
Oh.
Yeah. I have a different voice, but I've performed a lot of her songs and stuff at like shows, and everybody loves it.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that thing where I get you to sing. Because that's
like,
you can, but
I was like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
I was like, interesting. That's funny. I actually always get called on the spot to like sing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wasn't planning anything.
Yeah, but sometimes you secretly have a plan just in case. They're gonna call me up.
It's funny because when I was younger, I like literally always had a performance ready, and then no one ever asked me, and then I like stopped preparing, and then everybody started asking me. So yeah.
Kind of, as soon as people find out that you do stand-up comedy, that's it. It's tell us a joke, tell us a joke, tell us a joke. And I did stand up for a brief time. I'm gonna eventually get back to it. But it was just people that I work with. Like a manager once said, 5 minutes before kind of some kind of training event, he said, "Oh, Jeff, you just thought it'd be great if you could warm the crowd, like warm the group up and tell a few jokes." He's just like, no, that's really not how it works. That's like kind of like I don't know. I assume a singer must do vocal warm ups and things. You don't just go in absolutely cold. But I suppose that's it, isn't it? It's that expectation that people look at artists of all sorts and just think, right, well, go on then. This is what you do. This is what you tell us that you do. Do it, and there's no respect for the process. Yeah, the time or energy that needs to go into even the smallest of performances. Yeah, again, all profound here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I like that.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that is true. I think that's probably like, that's exactly like kind of how it is. Like even in like the tabloids and everything, I feel like it wasn't until maybe like recent years that celebrities are now getting more respect and artists are getting more respect is like not having to take the selfie, not having to perform right when you ask, versus I feel like maybe like early 2000s, that was like totally expected.
Yeah, almost. And it's no kind of hard. No news is bad news. That kind of be everywhere, have cameras in the face all the time. You can never be too smiling, too happy. Yeah, I think now there's a lot more about self-worth, isn't there? And people knowing their value, and that the transaction is between the person and the music, or the person, the film, or the, I don't know, sports game, art, museum, whatever. Um, Rather than people essentially selling themselves, selling their faces, isn't it? And personality, selling their lives.
Yeah. Selling your soul, like they say.
Selling the soul. But then I suppose, yeah, that's why if you want to be big, then there are sacrifices. I mean, one one thing I hate, and you see it all the time, is this getting paid in exposure. Where, I'd love for you to come and do this, and it'd be great. And well, obviously there'll be loads of people there. We'll put it all over social media, so we won't actually give you any money, but maybe someone else will give you money. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, I definitely have had that. I feel like I'm a photographer in Phoenix, and here the industry for the longest time was very much like, oh my gosh, let's trade, but, and I'm just like, okay. And so I did it because I was starting off. But I definitely feel like it's up to the artist to set those boundaries. Just because, like, of course, anyone will take free stuff. So, like, you're the one that has to set the boundaries and be like, no, this is actually what I charge. And I've actually found, like, more often when you set those boundaries, you are going to more often make money off of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who think they are important, but also again it comes back to this kind of, they don't necessarily value the artist and what they do and the time that goes into it, because they are saying that, well, you just give me something for free, because you can pay your bills from exposure. Like, oh yeah, you may get another two people who want, I know, you to perform for them, but you'd get that if you get paid as well. But it's not, the two aren't mutually exclusive. And I think it's, a real shame. People's arrogance kind of prevents them from seeing that, an artist puts their hell of a lot of their time, all their time, their art, and just to demean it by saying, well, do it for free. Give me it for free. You're not going to go to Banksy and say, give me one of your pictures for free, are you? Because it's exposure.
It's so rude. Yeah, it's so rude. Like, literally, I still get messages like this on a weekly basis, or like, because I like help run Contagion, so we have like a ton of artists. We're getting quotes all the time, and so many potential clients are like, "Oh, can you do it for this price?" It's like, no, you're supposed to like ask how much we charge. Like, you don't go to Walmart and like get a soda and be like, can I pay 50 cents for this? Like, you pay what it says.
Yeah. Oh, but everyone at the office is going to see it, so they'll come in and buy more sodas. So actually, you're getting a better deal. It doesn't work, does it? I did see, amazingly, obviously, the Super Bowl recently, and it kind of, this earth-shattering, Rihanna performed for free. Well, I mean, turns out it transpires the artists at the halftime show, they all do it for free. And it stems back from decades or whatever it is. Because back then it was a lot about exposure. And I saw someone say, well, whenever you think you're too big to do a job for exposure, remember Rihanna did it. And someone just put, as soon as I'm a billionaire, I will perform for exposure all the time. And that is it. If you're a billionaire artist and you've got a new, perfume line or makeup line, that's a great place to show it. But if you're starting out or making ends meet from it and trying to make it into a career, or even the next level, from trying and I don't know, better circumstances, doing it for free is just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it has to be worth it. Yeah. If you're questioning if it's worth it, don't do it.
Definitely. I mean, there's things that we do for, I mean, don't discount it, it's not fun, but at least then get expenses, I guess. Because that's it. Like, if you do something for free, then you still got to get there. You still got to get it back again. You know, it's you don't want to be out of pocket for it. Okay, so this is true because usually, we don't often have an actual good, honest conversation about stuff on this podcast. We've had it a couple of times, and I've really enjoyed this conversation because it is something I feel kind of quite passionate about myself. Is those who don't know, who don't perform, who don't create their own material, have a different level of expectation. But there's nothing that is more exciting to some people than hearing an author talk about a new book they're working on, because they're firing words out and they're saying things and they're so excited. And that's because it's their time and effort and love and passions going into that, and they just want everyone to know how great it's going to be. And people who don't quite get that, because maybe they prefer playing sports or watching sports or counting money, I don't know what other people do. I think it's a mentality shift, and they just don't get it, and they don't understand that you can love it as a fan and you can love it as a creator. I do think those two are separate, even if you are loving the same thing. So we do need to figure a way of making this better. How do you get people who don't understand why what an artist's worth? How do you get them to understand it? How do you make the situation better?
So for me, like, art is something I'm really passionate about, and like I said, I think it builds compassion between people, and I think it's kind of like the secret to peace. So that's like why I dedicate my whole life to this. But what I personally do to try to make it better is I run my art agency, which is Contagion Media. And so what we specifically do is like try to help artists kind of know these things and kind of know what's worth it to actually build their career, know that their career is actually worth money. Because so many times people on our team, like, we've had a client reach out to us and then they're like wanting it cheaper, and then I'm like telling the artist that they want it cheaper, and the artist is like, okay, and I'm like, no. Like, they're just so willing to do it because they love doing it. So I think to make this better, we need to show artists that they're worth it, and kind of just show them that they can demand the value that they're worth.
I love that. That is absolutely perfect. It's not other people we need to make better. It's just empowering the artist to believe in themselves, even what they're doing. I love that, and I always talk too much after someone says something amazing like that, and completely ruin it. So you've absolutely hit the nail on the head there.
Awesome.
That's another mission complete. We've made it better. Made for the artists. Gonna go have a little cry now. Before I do that, please, hey, what are you working on? Where can we find you? Social media links. What are you working on?
So if you want to connect with me, I highly recommend looking up Contagion Media Art Agency. You can find us at contagionmedia.net. We specialize in commercial content creation for magazines, websites, and social media, and also artist development. And then you can find me on Instagram at KBR Official, and then on Instagram for Contagion Media, it's at Contagion Media.
Fantastic. And all those links and everything else will be in the bio for the episode. So people will hopefully be able to find you early. And obviously, so one thing I've been meaning to do is get my YouTube channel up and running. So maybe I'll pay. You can do my YouTube videos for me, and I'll pay an exposure.
That's so funny.
But KBR, no, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's really been great. I've really enjoyed it. It's a lovely, thought-provoking conversation, and hopefully people listen who don't do the creative side and think, yeah, okay, maybe I'll think before I act next time. Until next time, all there is for me to say is thank you very much for listening, And thank you very much, KBR, for joining me. Goodbye, everyone. Say goodbye, KBR.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.